Problems 3 through 6 involve finding the missing sides of a 45, 45, 90 degree triangle. And first we're looking, the side they give to us is side A, which is a leg. They tell us A has a length of 3. You can see on the 45, 45 that the two legs are of equal length because of the tick marks shown in the illustration. Therefore, we know that B will be 3 as well. And C is simply going to be the length of the leg times the square root of 2. So in radical form, this would be 3 square root of 2. Now, if I wanted to find the decimal approximation of that, I would simply multiply 3 times the square root of 2, and with my calculator I would get a decimal approximation. 3 times the square root of 2 is going to give me approximately 4.24, which is going to be approximately 4.24. Again, this is the approximation. Leaving it in radical form, 3 times the square root of 2 will give it in its exact form. Okay, so going to number 4, here I'm giving that C, which is the hypotenuse, is 6 square root of 2. Well, if I know that C is short leg, or is leg times the square root of 2, and I'm given that C is 6 square root of 2, that means that B and A must be 6, because multiplying the leg times the square root of 2 gives me 6 square root of 2. Now, with B being 4.6, that means A also has to be 4.6 because they're of equal length. And this would simply be 4.6 times the square root of 2. Again, to find the decimal approximation, I'd go over here and I'd go 4.6 times the square root of 2, and performing that multiplication, 4.6 times the square root of 2, I get approximately 6.51. That is approximately 6.51. So that'd be the decimal approximation for number 5. And then I'm giving number 6 where C is 5. So to work and find out what A and B are, here's what I do. If I let A, let's do this. So I know my 45, 45, 90. I'm just drawing one real quickly here. If this is X, and this side is X, and this is X times the square root of 2, okay? If I want to find out what these A and B are, I know 5 is equal to X square root of 2. 5 is equal to X square root of 2. Well, in order to find the value of X, I'm going to divide both sides of the equation by the square root of 2. Okay? Well, a number divided by itself, which is what we're doing right here, equals 1. So now I have 5 over the square root of 2 is equal to X times 1. And if I multiply something by 1, I get the number itself. So we wind up with 5 divided by the square root of 2 equal to just X. All right? Make that 2 a little more defined. Okay? So X divided by 5 square root of 2 equals X. Well, to get the decimal approximation, I simply go 5 divided by the square root of 2, and I get approximately 3.54. So that is approximately 3.54. Now, I told you in class that I would accept the decimal approximation for this, 3.54, and 3.54. I want to take this opportunity to tell you how to simplify a radical. A mathematical convention, a mathematical nicety, if you would be that we do not leave square roots or other roots in the denominator of a fraction. So right here we have 5 divided by the square root of 2. The way to get rid of the square root in the denominator is by multiplying the fraction by a form of 1. And we're going to use the square root of 2 over the square root of 2. So I'm basically taking this square root and multiplying it by itself, and what I do to the bottom of a fraction I do to the top in order to keep it equal. Alright? So I'm going to put a fractional line here, and I'm going to kind of go through how the process works. So this is the square root of 2 times the square root of 2. On the top I have 5 times the square root of 2. Well, the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 turns into the square root of 4. Here we have 5 over the square root of 2. And what is the square root of 4? Well, it's 2. So on top we have 5 times the square root of 2, and on the bottom we have, on the denominator we have 2. If I were to ask you to put a and b in simplest radical form, this would be the correct answer. Okay, this would be the correct answer. So I would basically be taking, and that's what you would actually write down for the answer for A and B in number 6 if you were to put it in simplest radical form.